Hello, comics and food people. Today, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. It's me, Mike, riding solo. Today was the first day of school, so I don't have a huge amount of gas in the tank, but I am here for you, dear viewer. I've been talking to a couple people recently about how cooking is kind of similar to drawing in a lot of ways, or at least similar to making comics and cartooning. And it kind of inspired me to pull these guys off the shelf, which I hadn't looked at in a little while. This is the Lucky Peach magazine. And if you're not familiar, this was a magazine put out, let's see, this is issue 3 from 2012. So spring, I guess it started like 2010, 2011-ish. And this was put out by David Chang of Momofuku fame. He's, I guess, the editor-in-chief of this whole thing. Oh, look at this plane ticket from my mom. Let's see. Yeah, Peter Meehan, who's also a chef, and David Chang. I guess they were buddies, and features, I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's really a cornucopia of fun things about food. It's a lot of New York-centric writers, I think, just because they lived here and they were friends. But the magazine is certainly not specific to New York. This one's about the suburbs. There's one about LA in here somewhere, and each issue has kind of like a loose theme, I guess, kind of like this show does. And it's essays, it's fiction, it's recipes, it's diaries, entries of travel, travel logs, travel journals. And each one of these is just a delight. I remember thinking this was like my favorite thing when it came out. You don't have to be like a huge food nerd or like really into trendy restaurants or anything. I think right off the bat, it sets a nice tone of like tattooing this guy on that pig's ass. But anyway, the biggest reason I wanted to bring this up is not because about food or anything, but because as I was looking through these the other day, I realized that there are a ton of cartoonists of the era, and many of whom are still working and still making books and still prolific, sprinkled throughout almost all of these. They have great illustrations, great cartoonists, great kind of regular columns, guest columns, spot illustrations, and all kinds of stuff. And I just was so delighted by flipping through these again and having them be entertaining. So yeah, I think cartooning and cooking kind of go hand in hand. I mean, you kind of explore different things, you get new ingredients, you get new techniques, you get new hardware, and then you can experiment. Once you get comfortable enough with a certain recipe, that's when you can start to kind of branch out and do your own thing. Similar to like we have said a lot of times on this show, kind of increasing your visual vocabulary. Like if you like to draw cars, I think I don't want to speak for Nick, but I believe that neither of us believe in like, tracing a car in your comic. Like go outside and draw a bunch of cars from a bunch of different angles until you can learn how to draw a car from your imagination. And that's kind of when the fun part happens. That's your visual vocabulary. Similar to learning new words to make sentences, you're kind of studying these different things. Or figure drawing, you don't, if you like tracing photos, that's fine. But as a teacher, I would always encourage people to kind of go out, draw the body, draw people, and then you can learn how the body works in order to be able to draw them from your own mind, because you're not always going to have the thing on hand that you really want. So cooking is similar. Like you get to kind of build up this sort of ingredient vocabulary by cooking from recipes, which I do all the time. And another nice thing I think I like about the tone of this magazine is it's written for just like anybody. Like they're interviewing these kind of Michelin star chefs and all these different people, but it's not written in a sort of above it all perspective. Like this is written from the perspective of like getting people excited about cooking, getting people excited about food. And it's also not kind of, sorry, all these pages are really boring. Let me find a good one. It's also not, it doesn't come from this sort of like Vice sort of pretension of being sort of like snarky and smug. I think in like sort of the mid-aughts, there was this very sort of distanced perspective to a lot of this kind of writing, which some of which I think is still probably pretty funny, but I don't know. It has this like smug pretentiousness to it that today I just find incredibly irritating. And this magazine, I think, comes from a much more sincere place of people like really love food, they really love cooking, and they're not afraid to be kind of emotional and open about it. And that persists throughout this entire thing. This issue I put on top partly because I think this cover is really great, has all this hand-drawn typography, but also because this was the first thing that jumped out at me for this episode, which was this enormous Matt Fury centerfold, I guess you'd call this, but he just sort of drew this like video game level in just wonderful Matt Fury forming. This is all colored with colored pencils or crayons or something, but sort of reads like a comic. Like I guess I never think much about having 2 full pages that are one background with, you know, many little vignettes happening on all different places. Like I've seen artists kind of move one character through the whole thing, but to treat this as sort of multiple things happening all at once is really fun. And if you Google around for like, you know, full Super Mario 2 background, you can see the whole image as one thing, which is really fun because you're only ever playing it as a box and you get to kind of follow it through that entire level. But the backgrounds themselves are just sort of their own works of art, so it's neat to see Matt Fury kind of pinpoint a moment in time where this whole video game level might be happening. And then, you know, it folds out into this amazing like gatefold thing. I don't even know if we can see this whole thing. I guess I'll pan over a little bit. But amazing. No dialogue, no like, it's not a supplement to anything else that's in here. It's just an awesome thing that they put into this magazine with these great characters and stuff in here too, so you can see some of those. Matt Fury, a legend. And it's really refreshing, I guess, also to see a magazine kind of put this much time and effort and just print space into comics and cartooning and illustrators. You know, plenty of magazines will just sort of add in these little spot illustrations. I mean, the spot illustrations in this magazine are beautiful, and no disrespect to those artists either, but it's a different thing to put, you know, 8 enormous full color pages of no writing or anything right in the center of this magazine. It's just really cool, and you get the sense that the editors of this magazine are really supportive of cartoonists and just really into art, and that probably read comics themselves. I don't know how else they would come across some of these names that are in some of these books, because I mean, Matt Fury is a recognizable name, but a lot of the people who are in these, you know, not so much, and you get the sense that they're just kind of like, you know, heads in the scene. And then there's also this, I think this is the first one, yeah. Lisa Hannawalt of, I don't know who drew that one, some guy. But Lisa Hannawalt had a regular kind of recurring column in many of these magazines. This one is hilarious, The Secret Lives of Chefs. Bourdain does a lot of writing in these magazines. I mean, I'm a big Bourdain fan. And these are just great. I don't know I think some of these were reprinted in maybe like Hot Dog Taste Test or one of the other collections of Lisa's work, but everything comics-wise that Lisa Hannawalt has done, I'm a huge fan of. Also, I don't know who did this drawing, but it is wonderful. So that's that one. The theme of this one, I guess, is cooks and chefs. Pretty straightforward. And then this one has a big dog Michael DeForge cover. Again, looks great. And this was a little bit later, I think. This is 2015. So I guess Michael DeForge is probably a household name if you're in the scene by then. But I don't know if he was getting calls from the New Yorker and stuff. I mean, who knows? So what was I saying? Okay, so here's another Hannawalt comic. I also think comics and cartooning lends itself really well to recipes. I think it's hard to do effectively, but I think when you can pull it off, it's really interesting. And it's one of those things that makes me want to cook. Like, I think the reason I started having this conversation the other day was I was explaining that our goal for our comic show is to make people want to go make comics, right? We want people to watch the show and be like, wow, that really makes me want to draw, and have it be really inspiring and really exciting. And whenever I have a really interesting meal, like not just a great, I don't know, sandwich or something, whenever I have a meal that combines things that I never would have thought of before, that makes me want to cook. It makes me want to engage in like new arenas of ingredients and different kinds of things. And it also makes me want to draw. Like there's something about, I guess, creativity on any level, anywhere, that just makes me want to work in it, you know? And it's fun when you can find it with food, because sometimes you think like, oh, how much different could this restaurant be from another one? But every once in a while you eat something and it expands your spectrum, you know, it makes your spectrum of experience a little bit bigger. This is a Jason Poland drawing, who sadly passed away, I think in 2020-ish, I should look that up. But famously did the kind of draw every person in New York, and I never encountered Jason, but by all accounts, just a delightful person and a interesting artist, and just a man of the people. So rest in peace to Jason. For a little while, I worked at Peanut Butter and Company, and Justin was our arch nemesis. Justin's Nut Butter. One time at a trade show, they sent some interns over without any of their Justin's shirts on, and they were like, this peanut butter sucks, you don't want to eat this peanut butter, isn't it so bad? Oh, this peanut butter is so gross. And all the people who were at our booth walked away, and we said, fuck you guys. Then they became our rivals. What else we got in this issue here? Oh, and so yeah, for tools also, so not just ingredients, but also here's a Roman Muradov column. You know, I like that they also kind of they brought in cartoonists to do not just little spot illustrations, but actually supplement them with their own writing, which is a luxury not afforded to many cartoonists in many scenarios. Also illustrations in this one by Carly Jean Andrews, who I believe at one time was a New York person and now LA illustrator, but I've always really loved their drawings, and they just seem like a cool person. So yeah, not just ingredients I find inspiring, but also, like, you know, if you go to an art supply store and you pick up a new pen and you say like, oh, this is cool, maybe I'll try this pen, I like the feel of this pen. It's not dissimilar from getting a different size knife. You know, maybe you don't like cutting vegetables until you get like a real chef's knife, or a what do you call those things? A hatchet? No, machete. What are the big flat things called? I'm gonna call it a machete. Or a cast iron pan. Like, I remember when I got my cast iron pan, I was like, ooh, this is gonna be my little project and my little buddy. And you know, you oil it and you season it and you do a great job with it. And everybody reaches a point where they kind of let it go too long, and then they say, this thing's too much work. And then they give it to their neighbor, and then they kind of regret it a little bit. But then they get a stainless steel pan, and suddenly new adventures await. This is Josh Cochran. Is that right? Who drew this thing? I love travel diaries of food. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Josh Cochran. Got it. Cool. I love this kind of stuff where people take pictures of food and they talk about the food. It seems kind of counterintuitive that you could talk about food, because I think, you know, you can talk about movies all day and their sort of philosophical underpinnings and their analogies and the use of light to affect a certain mood, or how they subverted your expectations or something. But to describe food is like this wholly other thing. And so I'm always impressed when people can somehow document that experience in a way that feels effective or authentic, or conveys something about the meal, because you can't just tell someone something's good. That it's too subjective to mean anything. So anything that recreates an experience of kind of traveling and eating is something I'm totally on board with, and something that shows up all over the place in these Lucky Peach magazines. You know, this is the kind of thing that will make you hungry and inspired. Oh, what an illustration right there. Lovely. It's inspiring, it's exciting, it's funny, and it's just riddled with cartoonists all over the place. There's another Hannah Walt comic. So I don't think these are too tricky to track down. I think I haven't actually looked online for them, because I actually just inherited these old back issues from my mom. Thank you, Mom, for sending these over. Some of these were mine, and some of these were hers. I think I got her a subscription at some point, because she got really into it too. She's a big inspiration on my interest in cooking, and just a wonderful chef herself. So shout out to my mom. These pancake illustrations were by Travis Millard, who is also a great cartoonist. And what a hilarious idea. I don't know where these came from, but so much more interesting than just like drawing the thing in there. It's great. So you just get the sense this was assembled by cool people who are into cool things, and you know, it makes you want to try cool things. It makes you want to try to do new things. That's the shit. That's the juice. Jesse Balmer, another great cartoonist. Just wonderful, lovely experience. So I have a bunch of these. I've read them all a lot. I think they should be pretty easy to track down if you're interested. I'm not going to flip through all of them. I keep this one pretty short and sweet. But if you're interested in any of these, let me know. I'd be happy to send them out, to mail them out. If you want to check them out, if you're having a hard time finding them or something, I'll share the wealth. I've looked at these so many times that I'm not even really sure what I'm looking at anymore. But just fantastic stuff. Cocktails, it's great, really lovely, and feels, you know, like it feels like a kindred spirit to the Winnie Trong. I like their drawings too. It's like a kindred spirit to what we're trying to do with this show. Like you don't want to feel pretentious. You don't want to feel like you're telling people what to do. You want to just be like, look at all this cool shit. Don't you want to do cool shit? Go do it. So there we go. Quick and easy breezy. Cartoonists and food. Two great tastes that go great together. Let me know if you want any of these. I will hook you up. Until later, toodly doodly.